Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today. Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili, breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
And Happy New Year and welcome to the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez, Alden Iwani, our fine director, getting us on the air. And we're glad to have you along here on Comcast Channel 26, ProView Networks, and I guess on Facebook as well. And Ed, guess we're on the big stage today, huh?
Well, yes, and that's always good. We have the Metro Tournament coming up, and after the basketball games that we covered at Valencia last week, it started again today. And it seemed like Valencia was a blur, that tournament, as well as the Rio Rancho tournament. We got to see Wally Salata. I mentioned that to you with the beard. And I told you that he looked a lot like Richard Kimball from The Fugitive. Now, I know Coach Salata. Coach Salata's a good friend of mine. I'm not, I'm going to tell him myself. But when I looked at that beard, I told my wife, I said, honey, come here. We've watched that movie a million times. And I love Wally, by the way. I love Wally. He's a really good friend. But I've never seen him with a beard or any facial hair, and I've only known him 35 yeyears.
Right.
So when I saw that, and I'm going to really, bust his chops when I see him because I love to bust Wally's chops. But he was on with Steve Davis, and they do a great job at that Rio Rancho tournament. Espanola, I know we'll talk about them. Gosh, they're really on a roll. They're in Sun Devil Country. How excited are they about what they're doing out there? The other thing I think, and I'll get into this later, is that with Espanola Valley, the shadow of Richard Martinez hangs over that program. It does.
Right.
It does. This isn't good or bad. This is just the truth. Mm-hmm. But I think with James Branch and what he's doing there, they're 11 and 0, 12 and 0.
I think it's 12 and 0 now. After the win at Rio Rancho, I think it's 12 and 0.
The shadow he lives in town, man. Now look. Espanola, he's won 2 championships in Espanola, Richard Martinez. And it's kind of hard, with his shadow looming over the program. And I'm not saying it's good or bad or indifferent. I'm not criticizing Coach Martinez. He did a good job there to win 2. That's hard to win 1. Now, I remember the first championship he won, I was covering with Henry Tafoya, the Hall of Famer. And I remember when he saw Sally Marquez, gosh, she was dancing out there with Sally. Oh, so funny. I never forgot that. That was, yeah, it was, you should have seen it. Coach Martinez I'm talking about. And, so he was a very emotional guy. He just won one about 3 years ago. So believe me when I tell you that Richard Martinez, his presence still means something in town.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, so you go to a game, you look up, oh, man, there's Coach Martinez. Did you do it as good as Coach Martinez? Did you win a championship like Coach Martinez? How did you do it? So his shadow is still there. Believe me, he is. Because, when the game is over, people still report back to Coach Martinez.
Right.
But I think James Branch, let's give James Branch, the former Taos coach, the former New Mexico Highland star, let's give him credit for the start they've had out there at Espanola.
We'll talk about some of the tournaments here coming up in the show, but right now, as I normally do in the first segment, Ed, especially you being the big Lobo fan, talk a little Lobo basketball, and the Lobos going to Nevada and losing a close one. They were, I believe, 12, 13-point underdog or something like that, and they covered again. So University of New Mexico seems like the cover kings this year because a lot of times they've been big underdogs in football and basketball. They've covered, but Coach Weir after the game said, "I'm tired of moral victories." I was kind of surprised about that.
Well, you know what? My son and I watched it. That last possession especially is tough to inbounds from. That angle is hard. Now, you can go back to the previous possession when they had it, and Chris McNeil, maybe, in retrospect, could have pump fake, escape dribble, and tried to launch a three. He didn't.
Right.
And Drew, the kid from Nevada, blocked it cleanly. That kid is a good player, and he's probably an NBA player. So I think what I saw, though, and look, I'm going to say this again. I apologize to Joe Furtstinger. Joe Furtstinger, the fourth consecutive double-double. 10 points, 10 rebounds. He's getting the most out of his talent. He's definitely played very, very well. Unexpectedly so. I didn't expect him to be that good. They had their shots. There's no question about it. Jordan Mathis played out of his mind. Anthony Mathis played out of his mind and had good looks. But a couple of the ones that near the end were contested, caused him to go off balance just a little bit. They did contest it. But I will say, I think you're right, Coach Weir. You can sit there and say, well, we only lost to the Aggies by 2 last possession. We lost to TCU by 1 last possession. We lost to Nevada by 2 last possession. As a coach, you go in there and say, okay, we've lost 3 games by a total of 5 or 8 points. Bill Parcells would always say, you are what your record says you are. So there's 2 ways to look at it. But shoot, I'll tell you, my son and I were right there at the last possession, but remember where they angled it in from. It's tough to get a good look, and then the athleticism and the length that Nevada had made it very hard for the Lobos to get a clean look. They're playing very hard. There's people here that are going to say, well, I read it again in the paper today, Sports Speak Up, well, they need an inside presence. Well, yeah, we know that. That's really not telling us much.
Right.
Now, the players that they have coming in next year, and you say this all the time to me, you just said this before we got on. We talk about Lobo basketball a lot. They're going to lose Joe Furtstinger, Antono Jackson, and Sam Logwood. And right now, those are important players. But going forward, they're going to, again, the recruits that they supposedly have coming in are going, how are they going to fit in? But I think it's important for Lobo fans to understand, these guys are giving everything they got, man. Mm-hmm. Everything.
They are.
Everything. And Nevada's supposed to be, Nevada was sick. They had some players that were flu-ridden. Eric Musselman, the son of Bill Musselman. I know you remember Bill Musselman, former coach in the NBA.
Knew him, actually.
Oh, yeah, Bill Musselman. They used to call him the Muscle, they said.
Well, no Eric Musselman also, because they were both in the CBA when I was there.
Okay. So Bill Musselman, they said the guy was wild, nuts. Stories of him.
Good analogy.
Stories of him recruiting Maurice Lucas, some other players. The Muscle, they called him. Crazy guy, crazy. So Eric Musselman is a fine coach. And I tell you what, Paul Weir and the Lobos, my son, gosh darn him, man. Because normally, if the Lobos aren't having a great year, I'm kind of half in. But because of my son, he's so enthused about him, I got to watch, and I have been. And I think that they've done very well. Again, the record doesn't reflect that. They had won 3 in a row before they went to Nevada. But they're in these games, and it's just a matter of time before they get over the hump. But will they do it consistently this year? Do they have the talent to do that? Probably not. Probably not. But they're still entertaining to watch.
I don't know if you remember the CBA.
Oh, yeah.
But you mentioned Bill Musselman. Do you know who took over for Bill Musselman with the Albany Patroons?
Phil Jackson.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do. Well, I read a lot of books about Phil Jackson. One of the things that he had written about, was doing crossword puzzles when he's driving these guys.
Right.
They don't fly. They don't go by train. They go by van. And so, he said he would talk about doing crossword puzzles on these cross-country trips to go play. And that's where Jackson kind of got his coaching chops, was in the CBA. Again, Phil Jackson, eccentric, weird, quirky, very, very, very strange guy. Great coach.
And he was the normal one compared to the two.
Compared to him and Bill Musselman?
Yeah.
Interesting. That tells you a lot about Bill Musselman, because Jackson, again, he believes.
He was the calm, cool, and collected one.
Musselman went crazy.
Yeah. I was there when he went crazy a few times.
Yeah, CBA, I'll tell you what, and you know about the CBA because you covered it. People forget the Albuquerque Silvers played here in the CBA, coached by Norm Ellenberger. So a lot of my friends would go, we go to the Civic Auditorium, which has been raised since 1987. It hasn't been around. So we used to go watch the CBA. I enjoyed the CBA.
Right.
And if you think about it, when Isaiah Thomas took it over, it was it was a good league. Albany Patroons, Wyoming Wildcatters. I mean, there was a lot of teams in that league that were very good. And some players that came out of now they have the G League, not the D League anymore, and they get players from the G League to go to the NBA. But back in the day, they used to use CBA players a lot.
They would go up for a 10-day contract, and then if they were good, they'd stick.
Right.
There were some guys from the teams that I was with and opponents that stuck in the NBA and ended up actually having really good careers. Tim Legler comes to mind. He was in the league my last year, and he ended up having a really good NBA career.
Shoot Legs, they call him, man. Legs, one of the best three-point shooters for a while with the, I think it was the Washington Bullets. It wasn't the Wizards. He played with the Bullets. And one of the things about Legler, if you watch him on ESPN, I think he's still on. I don't know if he got removed or not. That guy is a great analyst, great analyst. I have a lot of respect for his breakdowns because they're not personal. They're very objective, and he knows the X's and O's. He knows what he's talking about. When he talks, I'm just right there because, like I said, there's no personal attacks on players. He knows what he's saying.
Before the end of the league, Albany played in an armory. And it was really cool because it was like makeshift seats. There was about 4,000 people in the stands. It was kind of like, you felt like you were going to Madison Square Garden and Boston Garden all in one. They had an accordion player who was, and it was like the accordion sounded like the organ, so he was playing like the garden organist and everything. So it was really cool.
You know what, if you think about Madison Square Garden, that organ, who's ever done it better than they do? I remember watching games there, on Sunday, even when Frazier and Earl Monroe, gosh, and we had that one guy, the PA announcer, score by Walt Frazier, Knicks lead 25-16, always announcing the score after every score.
Right.
I never forgot that guy. So, that's one become memories from when I was a kid. And so, there's no, when you mention the Albany Patroons, and I think about the Albuquerque Silvers here, the Wyoming Wildcatters, they had to figure out ways and to get fans in there. Just like a minor league baseball team, they're minor league basketball. So the Silvers never really took off here. They were competing with the Lobos, even though Norm was here. And I asked one guy, Tony Pursley, used to play for the Silvers. He played for the Lobos here. So I asked him, hey, what kind of coach was Norm? Well, he wasn't a great X's and O's guy, but God, he'd motivate you. He really would motivate the heck out of you. And defensively, he was very good. So I always wanted to know what kind of coaches, was Norm. And they had some very good coaches in that league. I think also George Carl coached in the CBA. You mentioned Phil Jackson, Bill Musselman.
Well, George Carl took over for Phil Jackson.
That's right.
In Albany.
That's right.
So
there's some NBA talent there.
Yeah.
You can't say that these guys.
My first year in the league was Jackson's last, and then George Carl was there after that. But I knew Bill Musselman before that also.
Tico Brown, Dale Bashore. They had some really good players come out of the CBA, man. They really did.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. One of the games with George Carl at the helm that I remember though was. I was with the Wichita Falls Texans, played at Midwestern State University, about a 6,000-seat arena, standing room only. Game number, I want to say, no, it was a regular season game. It wasn't even a playoff game. It was mini ball day. So we, as a PR director, marketing director and everything, we gave mini balls. Worst thing that you could ever do is give balls to fans before a game.
Right.
Controversial call happens. The place is littered with balls.
Yeah.
And almost end up negating the game. They ended up finishing the game, but it was kind of a black eye for the league. And it was actually in a book that was written by someone who covered the Albany Patroons. That incident was kind of funny to be a part of.
There's also another story. Charlie Rosen, who coached with Phil Jackson, talks about when I guess he took over coaching one time, and
he was in Rockford.
Okay, so
yeah, Charlie Rosen was with the Rockford Lightning.
Okay, so actually gets thrown out of a game and ends up getting thrown in jail. So that was so funny, just the way he described. They put him in jail for what, 3 hours. His players bail him out, and just the way he described it. Gosh, that was funny. Charlie Rosen's another guy. He coached with Jackson for many years, wrote many books. So, gosh, that the CBA, that brings back a lot of memories.
Well, the second year I was in Wichita Falls, we didn't have a general manager who was an assistant coach. First year we had an assistant coach, general manager. He went to all the games. So I ended up getting a technical one year in Grand Rapids, Michigan, because our coach got kicked out of the game, and my instructions were to fire up everyone to go get a tee right away.
Oh, wow.
Team paid for the technical and all that stuff. I got a call from the owners at the hotel after, we're paying for your technical, right? But I'm on the air. I'm saying there's going to be some dead air, and we kind of practice this. The only thing that pisses me off that in any record book it goes as a team technical, and I didn't get my name on it.
Oh man, it doesn't say.
I was pissed off about that.
Yeah, you want to. How much was the tee fine?
$250.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, that's steep.
$250.
That's steep.
Well, it was meant for coaches.
And players get $252, right?
Everyone gets $250.
See, at that league there, with the money you're not making, that would deter a lot of people. Because NBA guys,
$250. They say, we're paying for it, right?
Man, $250. Yeah.
It was something.
Well, if you think about it, the way the CBA was set up, the points, you could get points for wins and winning the quarters, things like that. I want to say one more thing just before we break. Jim Lawwell, I know you remember Jim Lawwell, was the announcer for the Albuquerque Silvers here. And he had his guy, you would have laughed. And I'm not saying this, Jim was a great announcer. Jim just had his whirling dervish move. Jim had his own way of saying stuff, man.
Right.
And he used to make us, I listened to all the games. He used to make me, I used to enjoy listening to Jim.
We'll take a break and we'll come right back with more here on the Sports Desk. But first, the top 10 plays of the week from Dream Style Remodeling.
Play behind front roll. Look at this. All the way running on the reverse.
Stop in the lane and a one. Strong move. Maya putting the moves on. Jump stop. It's a beauty. Yes.
Generating pressure. Strasser runs the point here. He gets another turnover.
Strasser with the steal. Has a moving kick.
By 6 turnovers as Oyeku finishes and a chance at a three-point play.
Strasser being hounded by Penn. Strasser, that's got to be, let's see, block.
Gray puts the moves on. A long one for B-Hill. Flash! How about that end of the quarter? Andres B-Hill's third three-pointer of the game.
Oh my God.
It's gonna count at the head. 30 to play. Here comes the double team. They had a cutting pike underneath. Amaya goes all the way with a rack attack.
He's got a step. Anthony Chavez all the way. Finishes.
Ladera Golf Course. Opened in 1980, Ladera features a full 18 including spacious greens, a large driving range, roomy practice putting greens, and 4 large lakes. Surrounding Ladera, beautiful views of the Sandia Mountains to the east and volcanoes to the west. Ladera is a challenging city-owned course with the longest playing yardage of any other city courses. For weekend tee times and more information, call 505-836-4449.
The Barley Room, a proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
When I train for American Ninja Warrior, I schedule regular workouts to stay in shape.
To keep my car in Ninja Tough shape, I head to a Napa Auto Care Center for regular maintenance and genuine Napa Auto parts.
Like brakes and batteries.
I trust my Napa Auto Care Center for quality parts and quality service.
And with the 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty, I drive away with peace of mind every time.
Visit AutoCareNM.com to find a location near you.
And we are back here on the Sports Desk. Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez. Alden Ioane, our fine director. Hope you and yours had a fabulous holiday season as well as a happy new year. And how about some outstanding football games, Ed? Yesterday we had the Final Four, if you will. We had Central Florida undefeated, finishing off their undefeated season with a win against Auburn. I know you didn't see much of the game, Oklahoma and Georgia, but what a game that was.
Well, you know what? I saw what was important was the last part of that game. And, you know, the kick, the field goal that was attempted in the second overtime was blocked by Georgia. And, gosh, that game just went back and forth. And Baker Mayfield threw some good balls and then some he didn't. But it was funny that after the game, Kirby Smart, the Georgia coach, went on TV and said he thought his team really didn't play well. And that was kind of surprising to me because they pulled it out with some very key plays. They really did. You know, the other game was, you know, when Clemson and Alabama played, I really thought Nick Saban, man, how many does he want? 4 or 5? 4? Is it 4? I think it's 4. I'll say 4. Anyway, I thought, you know, Coach Saban, if you watch him, meticulous, perfectionist.
Right.
Gosh, I remember when he'd undressed Lane Kiffin on the sideline.
He's the Bill Belichick of college coaching.
Yes, no doubt.
Very similar styles, very similar personalities. I mean, they're nose to the grindstone each and every day, 24/7. The way they conduct themselves, you may like them, you may not like them, but man, they're outstanding coaches.
I think either one of them don't care, you know, about if people like them or not.
They don't.
No.
That's what makes them successful.
And so, you know, and I remember, as I said, when Coach Saban would really undress Lane Kiffin on the sideline. If it was one thing that was wrong, he's telling you right to your face. So I thought that last night when they were talking about the playoff and Alabama was on the outskirts, should they be in, shouldn't they be in, then they're in. And I thought the message was, you know, to Clemson was, you know what, and to the rest of the football, you know, world was, we're Alabama, man, and you're not. And I thought they really put a physical whipping on Clemson. I really, and plus some of it was revenge for last year. When that interception happened, when those two, that was it. That was it. I told my son they're done because, you know, their linebackers had missed a lot of games because of injury. They showed that before the game.
Right.
Once that defense pinned their ears back, forget it. Done. You know, so they really put the whipping on Clemson, and I thought their message was, you know what, you can sit there and say what you want about us, about the program. Here's why we're Alabama and you're not. And I'd have to say, going into this game against Georgia, I'd have to make the Tide at least 4.5, 5-point favorites. I don't know how Georgia's going to beat them.
Right.
That's not to say that they can't, but Alabama, once roll Tide roll, once they're rolling the way that they're rolling and get that confidence, they're telling people, look, you doubted us, we lost last year, here we are again right in your face. So beat us. If you're so good, you beat us. we're here for a reason. It wasn't an accident.
Right.
It wasn't a fluke.
Right.
And I thought that was the message that they put out last night. I really did. I really did.
It indeed was a beatdown. And the only disappointing thing with me about who's in the finals, I would have rather seen Oklahoma just for the non-conference
My
feel.
son thought too.
But having said that, Georgia is a fun team to watch.
Oh, yes.
A very, very good team. So taking nothing away from it, it's more of a fan standpoint. I would have loved to have seen Oklahoma and Alabama play. But seeing Georgia and Alabama play, that's a pretty good consolation prize.
My son said that too when the game was over. He thought that, ABC was probably like, gosh, dang it, the ratings.
Well, it's more a compelling matchup because you got the Heisman winner and everything else. Now you just got a smash mouth defense against an Alabama offense. It's a juggernaut.
Right. And either one, they're something's got to give.
Right.
That Alabama defense, they've got the players back. I mean, I was telling my wife this last night. I said, you should see their practice facility. Gosh, incredible. Right. They showed that on Real Sports one time. I was like, oh, my God, the Palace.
Yeah.
But remember, they've won the championships.
Their stadium's a palace, too.
Imagine the pressure and the money that's involved with, these games. And there is a lot of pressure. Now, Saban could say, I've won 4, you haven't won any. He wants to win every single time.
Right.
And there's no consolation like, well, you won second, you're runner-up. It stuck in his craw last year. It did. It's still there.
Right.
He's like Bob Knight. Bob Knight, I remember when he won.
It's an excellent analogy.
Bob Knight won a championship, and then they said, well, the minute he won a championship, his the first thing he said was, should have been 3. It wasn't like, let's celebrate. Isaiah Thomas said this, or no, Chris Paul said this. Do you hate losing more than you like winning? There's some people that cannot stand to lose.
Right.
And even when they do win, it's not enough. All they remember is, shoot, we lost that game 20 years ago. So I think Nick Saban, I'm telling you, I'd be very surprised if Alabama lost Monday. Not to say that, not taking anything away from Kirby Smart in Georgia, but I'm telling you, Alabama's on a mission, man. They really are. And when they get on a mission with the team that they have, I don't see how they lose.
Back to the Lobo basketball team, now that we have a couple of minutes here before we'll get hot and heavy in the high school. They're going to be playing Boise State on the road. Now, you're kind of looking at schedules and saying, oh, they can beat this team, this team, this team. Oh, they might be able to upset. How frustrating as a fan is that to you, to be kind of looking with that mindset, whereas in the past, even when they were playing games maybe they shouldn't have won, Lobo fans were, hey, we're going to win this by 15.
I think you make a good point there, because there was times in the past you could look at Pitt games, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win. That, maybe, somebody came in that Wake Forest or someone would come in, maybe not. That's a win, that's a win. Go on the road, Wyoming, I'm not sure, Utah, BYU. But I think now it's a reality. Can they be competitive? They were down 13, 14 points to Nevada,
right,
and they came back. I was really enthused about that. They could have packed it in, and they didn't. Nevada's a better team, let's be honest. Nevada's probably the best team, and they're talking about maybe it'll only be a one-bid team again, or one team getting a bid from the league, and it's going to be Nevada, unless San Diego State and Wyoming, and we're missing something here. But you took the #1 team in the conference to the buzzer. You had a chance to win, to tie.
Right.
But again, Coach Weir is he's not the kind of guy that are going to pat him on the back. Hey, Coach, you almost. I hate almost. I can't stand it. I know just by his quotes that he doesn't like it either. But they're competitive and they're getting better. That's the way you have to look at it. It is what it is for right now. And, is he building a program? He's still pressing. My son and I talked about that. Should maybe he take it off here and there? He's not going to. He's not going to. He's already said, this is the way we play. I want to be able to, create an up-tempo game. We don't really have much of a half-court set. They've tried to go into Sam Logwood. Gosh, if you see the body on that guy, that's what used to bother me more than anything about him. Body of Adonis, right? Hey, man, use it. What are you doing? Use it. That guy is ripped.
Right.
Always been ripped. So this up-tempo game here lets him show off his talents more than Craig Neals did. And I still think, you know what, if it wasn't for Sam Logwood on Saturday, the Lobos wouldn't have been as close. He's athletic. So I think going forward to your question, Scott, it is what it is, man. That's what we have to do. Game by game. I don't know, as long as they're competitive, I'm not going to tell you that they're going to win more than they're going to lose, because this year is going to be hard to do that. But if they put out the effort that they did on Saturday, I think that they can be at least competitive and maybe have a chance.
A blessing and a curse. One of the things that I didn't bring the box with me, I forgot it at home. I wanted to look at it because usually when I go over the box score, they have at least 30 to 35 three-point attempts. This past Saturday, they made the three-point shots, and that's what kept them in the game. Nevada also relied on the three-point shot, so I don't know what they shot as a team, but it was pretty amazing seeing both these teams just jacking up threes and making them. When the Lobos, again, because Paul Weir wants his team to shoot a lot of threes, when they make them, they're going to win their share of games. When they don't make them, you know the old saying, live by the three, die by the three.
That's where this game is now. You know, if you think about it, the evolution of the three-point shot, we talked about that. It's a different game now. Guys are making contested threes, you know, and really that's what they're looking to do. Come down, fire the three, up-tempo, press. Even they don't want people shooting inside the two-point line. It's a bad shot now, according to coaches. Of course, they'll take it. It's a different game. That three-point shot, if you think about it, even in the pros, look at Golden State. People have to be like Golden State. Get a bunch of 5 snipers, 1 guy out. You know, 4 snipers, one out. That's the way the game is. And, you know, sometimes my son tells me that all the time. Dad, nobody wants to see anybody throw it into Jabbar anymore and have him throw that hook up, which was a beauty in itself. Me and my son just will talk and laugh about that because the game has definitely changed.
Yeah, but the problem is you got Steph Curry, who's kind of the poster child for three-pointers from mid-court and everything. Not everyone can shoot like him.
That's right.
You know, so there's one of him and there's a bunch of everyone else. So that's why the evolution of the game going to the three-pointer, to me, is kind of a mistake because look at the last champions. What do? They go inside. North Carolina pounded it inside. They were known for their inside presence. No, they had guys who could shoot, but they were inside an inside-out team.
Yeah, which is the best way to play, you know, if you can. So, yeah.
You weren't beating them inside. If they got the ball inside, forget it.
Right. So some teams still do play that old-fashioned way.
Well, the teams that get the trophy have been doing that.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
I mean, you know, you can look at the evolution of the game all you want, but the teams that win championships are still doing it the old-fashioned way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. I agree.
We'll take a break here, and we'll break down some Metro basketball tournaments in just a moment on the Sports Desk.
Christy May's restaurant is locally owned and operated with a family-friendly atmosphere. Their array of homemade comfort food is just like your mom's. From homemade chicken pot pie to their famous chicken salad on a croissant, Christy May's even offers lunch catering. Christy May's restaurant is located at 1400 San Pedro Drive, Northeast. They offer drive-in, carry-out, and catering. Open Monday through Saturday, 10:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Terry Cosper Insurance Agency is a proud partner with Proview Networks and a proud supporter of New Mexico High School athletics. Terry's been a local farmer's agent for over 20 years for auto, home, life, and business insurance. Just like high school sports are important, so are teen drivers. For more information, call Terry or one of his licensed staff members at 898-5556. Quotes are available for you.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
For 55 years, people have bought trucks from Tillery in Los Lunas. We have a great selection of vehicles, a quality service department, and some of the best deals in the state. But most importantly, we found people prefer to buy trucks from people who actually drive trucks.
Tillery is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Locally owned and operated, located in Las Lunas, right off I-25, exit 203.
Looking for some exhilarating fun? It's at All Out Zone. All Out Zone showcases Nerf Dart tag games from team elimination battles to human versus zombies, pitting two teams against each other in fun, organized chaos with trained referees, music, and a full arsenal of Nerf blasters. You need team parties, birthday parties. We can customize the party to fit your needs. Visit us at the Coronado Mall. Give us a call, 505-444-6964. All Out Zone. Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today. Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of Proview Networks. It's been a fan favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. With not one, but two great locations, including outdoor patio, an atmosphere you won't want to miss. Gecko's, off Academy and in Nob Hill.
Locally loved restaurants like Farina Pizzeria, Farina Alto, and the Artichoke Cafe are the perfect venue for your next event. Farina Alto has traditional Italian food, plus handcrafted cocktails in a beautiful Northeast Heights location. Farina Pizzeria with a downtown vibe, amazing affordable wines, and local beer. And the Artichoke Cafe has set the standard for casual fine dining since 1989. Visit our family of restaurants and see what fine dining is all about.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
And welcome back here to the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez, Alden Iowani, our fine director. And time now to talk about the Metro Boys and Girls Basketball Tournament. Unbelievable tournament each and every year. 16-team bracket. It's just like a state tournament. 4 different locations for the boys, 4 different locations for the girls. It doesn't get any better than that.
You're going to laugh. I still have a plaque from the APS, that's what they called it back in the day, APS Tournament 1979. I've still got that on my wall. So a lot of memories of the Metro APS Tournament.
No, I'm not going to laugh. I would be ticked off if you didn't still have that.
No,
actually.
I still do. And then when my mother passed away, it's funny because I was looking for these things. I'm like, oh, man, that's where that is, you know.
Right.
So these tournaments have gone on for and you're right, it doesn't get any better than that. And then, you know, the good thing about these games and bad things, if you lose, I always just tell the kids, hey, the worst thing that's going to happen is we're going to play another game tomorrow. We want to win.
Right.
But you get to keep improving, keep playing. It's not bad.
Yeah, that's the difference between this and the state is that you get to play 3 games. Or is it 3 or 4 games? 4?
I think it's 3.
3 games, yeah. So you get to play 3 games. You get to play Tuesday, Wednesday, Wednesday, and then Friday, Saturday. 4 games.
Yeah,
so
okay.
So it is 4 games. So you get to play 4 games as opposed to 1 and out.
You know what's enough? I think that's, I remember a couple of times having to play for 5th and 7th place. Boy, I was mad about that. But still, you get to play, develop, and, you know, if you love basketball, if you know what you're doing, I don't know how, like you said, it doesn't get any better than that.
Let's look at the girls' bracket. And first games will be at Rio Grande High School. And you got the bracket right here. You got Cibola and Rio Grande and Volcano Vista and Hope. The Cibola Rio Grande game, 5:30 tonight, which is Tuesday, 7:15 for the Hope Volcano Vista game. Then you go down on the other side of this bracket. You got number 5 Cleveland, number 12 Albuquerque High at Albuquerque High. That will be at 5:30, and then Valley against number 4 El Dorado, Valley number 13, and this will be a 7:15 game. Then you go to Del Norte High School for the other part of the bracket, the lower bracket, number 3 Rio Rancho against number 14 Del Norte. You see down there at the bottom of the bracket, and number 11 Sandia taking on number 6 La Cueva. Those games at Del Norte High School, the Rio Rancho Del Norte game at 5:30 and the other game at 7:15. Then the bottom of the bracket, you got number 7 Highland taking on Atrisco Heritage. That's at Highland High School. And number 15 Manzano taking on number 2 West Mesa at 7:15.
I think the game that I want to talk about, there's more. But I look at El Dorado and Valley, and Rich Harbin, the El Dorado head coach, was the former head coach at Valley. I had a chance to see him at the Valencia/Las Lunas tournament last week, and it was strange to see Coach Harbin wearing burnt orange.
Mm-hmm.
He had been at Valley for so long, and Coach Harbin, I got a story to tell you about him. He and I played against each other in high school. He played for Del Norte, and I played for Highland. We used to play against each other at Johnson Gym, and every time there was almost a fight because him and I would just go at it. And of course, we got to be really good friends, and I have all the respect in the world for Coach Harbin. But if you look at where you're coaching against your former team, and there was a Valley assistant scouting El Dorado, so it's kind of strange to coach against your old team. You're seeing the girls that you developed, you had a close relationship with, and you're on the other side now. So that's kind of a game that kind of stands out for me, at least at first glance. Cibola Rio Grande. I haven't kept up with Rio Grande. I know they have a new coach there, and you would think that that's going to be a tough matchup for the Ravens. And the Hope Husky girls lost a lot last year as well. So, that might be kind of a tough matchup for them against Volcano. Another team that intrigues me, and I know you had them in the Joe Armijo tournament, is Highland. Highland taking on a Trisco there. Highland's got all the talent in the world. What they don't have sometimes, and it really bugs me from a observer standpoint, is if something goes wrong, it seems like the whole team just falls apart sometimes. Yeah. Now, Lonnie Neal's done a great job there. Lonnie Neal's a fine coach, but it's hard.
He's a hard worker, too. He's really trying hard to mold those girls into what they should be in his eyes.
Right?
Yeah.
But I noticed that when things go wrong, and it's like just one will start slumping the shoulders, and it kind of infects everybody.
Right.
But he's doing the best he can. He told me that. I'm trying to change the culture here as far as winning. They haven't had a winning season in a long. They had a winning season last year. They've got the the Crawford twins, the Crispin sisters. So they've got players. There's no doubt about that. They've got players. It's just what sometimes, and you know this. Sometimes you get the breaks go against you. How do you react emotionally? How do you act? Calls go against you. You miss a layup. Are we going to fight through it, or are we just going to I just have to tell the players when I coach, hey, we going to quit? What are we going to do, man? Right. Of course, it wasn't language as nice as that, but sometimes you had to do that. Sometimes you had to do that. One thing I couldn't stand is quitting. I couldn't stand it. You know what? If we're going to lose, let's go out there and give it everything we got. We fought, clawed, scratched. Then I could be, okay, at least we gave it everything we had. But if you quit and your body language indicates that you're not, what are we out here for? Why? So I think Lonnie Neal's got his, like you mentioned though, what a fine gentleman he is. Fine gentleman.
What the girls' bracket did not show was the losers' bracket side. So after Tuesday's games, Wednesday, there will be a winner's bracket at 7:15 and a losers' bracket game at 5:30 at all the venues, Rio Grande, Albuquerque High, Del Norte, and Highland. We will take a break and come back and break down the boys' brackets here in the Albuquerque Metro Championship Tournament in just a moment on the Sports Desk.
Ladera Golf Course. Opened in 1980, Ladera features a full 18 including spacious greens, a large driving range, roomy practice putting greens, and 4 large lakes. Surrounding Ladera, beautiful views of the Sandia Mountains to the east and volcanoes to the west. Ladera is a challenging city-owned course with the longest playing yardage of any other city courses. For weekend tee times and more information, call 505-836-4449. Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of Proview Networks. It's been a fan-favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. With not one, but 2 great locations, including outdoor patio, an atmosphere you won't want to miss. Gecko's, off Academy and in Nob Hill.
Turbo Threads is a proud sponsor of Proview Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts.
Garden Sort's Team Sales is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game. Garden Schwartz Team Sales features fine products and apparel from Wilson, Schutt Sports, Speedline, and Russell Athletics. We offer custom embroidery and screen printing services for all of your school or club needs, from team uniforms to school letter jackets. Specializing in all sports and serving all communities, from big schools to small schools, from up north to down south, or all points in between. Garden Schwartz Team Sales. For great prices, friendly staff, and quality products, call Garden Schwartz Team Sales today at 1-800-880-7767. That's 1-800-880-7767. Since 1939, Garden Schwartz Team Sales is a proud supporter of New Mexico youth athletics.
And welcome back here to the Sports Desk. Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez. Alden Iowani, our fine director, doing a great job as always, getting you set for the Albuquerque Metro Championship Tournament. We went over the girls' side. Now time to go over the boys' side. And a lot of good brackets here. You see it from top to bottom. Number 1 seed is Atrisco Heritage. The number 2 seed is Cleveland. Number 3 seed Albuquerque High. And number 4 seed is El Dorado. And let's go over some of the games here. You got Atrisco and Highland. That's a 5:30 game tonight. Tonight being Tuesday. And La Cueva against Rio Rancho. Those games at Atrisco Heritage.
Well, the other thing that came out in the paper this morning was that Rio Rancho head coach Wally Salata suspended for 2 games. Now, athletic director Bruce Carver didn't give a reason.
Was it the beard?
I don't think so. I don't think so. You know, and so they'll miss Coach Salata. He'll be back Friday. You know, so anytime now he's got some. Dalen Bynum is a very capable assistant, and there's some other assistants on the bench. His son, Walter Salata Jr., is an assistant. I don't know how much coaching he's actually doing. I asked Walter last year. I know Walter too. I said, "Hey, Walter." I
want to say he's a C team coach, if I'm not mistaken.
He is. But I asked him last year, maybe it was the year before when they won the championship. I said, what does Coach Salata let you say to the team? He said, nothing yet, nothing. And he's got to earn his way. He's got to earn his stripes. So in the absence of Coach Salata, I would think his son and Dalen Bynum, the assistants, will do a fine job there. So, again, without the services of your head coach, Rio Rancho might kind of have a hard time in their opener. I do like Atrisco. You know, they've been, you know what? I saw Coach Ortega. I saw him at the mall the other day. And I told him, I said, you've got a really good team. They've got some great guards. Jose Bibian, the kid, Jordan Arroyo inside, Gaxiola on the wing, Diego Ortega, coach's son. So they've got, you know, Atrisco Heritage is a loaded team. But I think the thing about them that I really like is they play as a team. You know, Coach Ortega said this to me a couple weeks ago. We're not playing for an individual. We play together.
Right.
So you know what? 7-1 so far, and we expected that though. I think you did with the players that they had coming back. You know, and you mentioned inside out that Arroyo kid.
Yes.
He'll take it back out too.
Very good. Yes,
but if he's one-on-one against someone smaller, it's over.
What does that tell you, what you just said? Because the first time I saw them play at El Dorado, they pulled out an upset win. And we'll keep those brackets up here while we're talking, by the way, Alden. But that tells you what? He's a smart kid. Because when he has the ball down low, he can force up shots, but instead he does kick it out. And that makes him very, very effective.
One thing I notice about him, when he's one-on-one, forget it. It's over, right?
Yeah.
One-on-one, powers up and unders, left hand. But, you know, you mentioned about how smart he is. The other thing is he's only supposed to be a junior. he's so smart. He's jumped a class and he's a senior. So he's very, you're right.
Well, that tells you something because, I mean, you know, most guys would go up if they got the ball inside and force it. But he has the wherewithal to, if he doesn't have the good shot, to kick it back out for a three. And they've got some deadly three-point shooters.
Catches these shooters in rhythm. Catches them right in rhythm. You know, you're right. They spread the floor very well. They press. Coach Ortega, as we mentioned, has been at Sandia, Las Cruces Oñate, from Las Vegas. Coach Ortega's a heck of a coach. Got a lot of respect for him.
In the bottom part of the upper bracket, you've got games at West Mesa coming up tonight and tomorrow, 5:30 tonight and 7:15. The first game, Sandia, number 5 seed against number 12 West Mesa. Then it's number 13 Rio Grande taking on number 4 El Dorado.
Again, some you know, one of the things that I saw on Sandia's bench was former Highland coach Danny Brown. He's now assisting Alvin Broussard. A little hard for me to get used to seeing Coach Brown in the Matador blue, but you know, I'm sure Coach Broussard is thrilled to have him.
Or does he wear the Matador red?
No, it's blue. At the John Mijo tournament.
He wears the blue. Okay.
Yeah, it was so you know, it's good to see him back in the game. You know what? It's hard to win at Hyden. Justin Woody, the head coach at Hyden, will find that out. He's a fine coach and a fine individual. But I'll tell you what, Danny Brown, and I'm going to say this now, because you know what, you know, you're going to laugh about this story. His father, Mike Brown, was my coach at Holy Ghost. His grandmother was my teacher at Holy Ghost. So I go back with the Browns many years.
Wow.
So Coach Brown may not have had you remember, he got Hyden to their last championship in 2010. People forget that. But not only was he a head coach, he was like a father figure. He meant so much to those kids. He really did. People forget that. It's just not coaching basketball. You know, you're developing these young men for, you know, for later in life. I can't tell you how many of my players still call me coach. They still call me. They contact me. So I want to make sure that people understand it's just more than that. And it's good to see Danny Brown back on the sideline with Sandia.
Starting off now with the lower part of the bracket, we'll go at Volcano Vista. The next block of games will be Albuquerque High, who is number 3 seed against number 14 Cibola. That's a 5:30 game. And number 6 Volcano Vista taking on number 11 Hope Christian. Hope Christian, one of those teams that they love playing 6A teams.
You know, the other thing is in 4A, Bernalillo right now 14-0.
How about 14-0.
That? When's the last time you and I have been in rankings together 3 years? Who's been number 1 in 4A for Hope? So I think for
with
now,
the exception of maybe a couple of games, I think West Las Vegas might have been number 1 once, and Portales might have been number 1 a couple of times. Other than that, it's always been Hope.
So now Bernalillo 14-0, just won the Stu Clark.
Yeah.
You know, Terry Darnell already has 2 championships there, and that's a madman. And I say these things with most affection. I love Coach Darnell.
Well, we've talked about him, and you know, seeing him past couple of years coach in the state tournament. You know, he's another guy that wears his emotions on his sleeve, but he gets the best out of his players.
You know what? I told you, you know, the guy can still play. It's fire from 25, 30 feet. Still, I used to tell Terry, you're probably the best player on the roster. Stop playing with your kids, man. We used to laugh about that.
Right.
But one thing about him, the former great Spartan guard, former New Mexico Highlands guard, was a heck of a player in college. Still a heck of a player. And you know, I got so many stories of when I used to call his games. Ed, I need help. Well, Terry, what do you want me to do? You know, so we'd have a lot of dialogue back and forth. But after the game, before the game, big hug. After the game, now during the game, you know, I never teed him, never. And but after the game, hugs, Ed. Good. But this guy here hates to lose at Tiddlywinks, man.
Right.
So very competitive. As you know, and so when he wears his emotions, if you just sit there, okay, let's say you're not broadcasting the game, just watch him during the game, man. You will laugh the whole game. He's going to pull his tie. He's going to, you know, like you said, he's very animated and dramatic. Right. But I have all the respect in the world for this man. All the respect.
Then at the bottom of the bracket, you got Monsanto, number 7 seed against number 10 Valley at 5:30. That's at Valley High School. And number 15 Del Norte against number 2 Cleveland. You've got those games, Ed. Pretty interesting games. Monsanto and Valley comes to mind as the first interesting game because both teams bring a little bit to the table.
Look at Monsanto. Damian Romero is the new coach there now. And, you know, they struggled. They struggled last year. He's got them off to a pretty decent start. They got blitzed by Trisco, but they were missing their big guy had a strep throat. So I think he's done a great job there. You know, Joe Coleman, when you think of Valley, who do you think of? I think of Joe Coleman. God, he's been on that bench for 20-some years. And he's not old. I'm not saying this as Joe Coleman needs to go, because Joe Coleman was a heck of an athlete at Valley, a 3-sport star. athletic director, oh man, you should see some of the games when I reffed his games. That guy there, man, he'll get after you. But a lot of respect for Coach Coleman. I think Manzano's definitely moving up this year and has played better than we thought. On the other end of that, Cleveland had started out strong and then kind of had a falter, and Del Norte has played up and down as well.
See how long we have here in the show. I think we have a few minutes left, right? Did you catch what he said? 5 minutes, okay. So now, let's go here, since we're doing boys basketball, and you and I are both doing games here tonight, Ed. Let's go through some of these and see what you think. Atrisco Highland, Highland's been struggling. Atrisco's been kind of a juggernaut this year. Do you think Highland has a shot in this game?
They're going to have everything go right for them, execute, stop the big man underneath. Again, Justin Woody's trying to get, trying to get his system in there, and have them the players look to him. It's only been a little short time since the transition. That's going to be a tough game for Highland.
You mentioned Rio Rancho playing without Wally Salata. They're playing number 9 La Cueva, and La Cueva is a very good coach in their own right, obviously. But this La Cueva team, they're the number 9 seed, and the coaches go and they seed these teams before the tournament. It is not the coaches poll that we normally put out, and we didn't put out a coaches poll because no school, so we'll redo the coaches polls next week, but it's not the same coaches poll that we do each and every week.
No, and you mentioned La Cueva, and the dean of Albuquerque coaches is Frank Castillo. He's got 2 players there, Derek Isles and Tyler Isles, who I really like. Now, he lost Elijah Heron before the season, right before the season started, and Elijah Heron was going to make a big difference in that Bear lineup. So them going against Rio Rancho, who's still pretty dangerous with David Patterson, Keyshawn Banks. They still have a good team. They did lose a lot from last year, but I think the key there is how do they fare without Coach Salata. Now, I mentioned Dylan Bynum is a technical assistant, but it's so much different when your head coach isn't there because he knows the temperature, he knows what plays to call, he knows the whole mood of the game, and that's why he's the head coach. So it's going to be interesting to me to see how Rio Rancho fares without Coach Salata tonight.
Then you got Sandia against West Mesa, and West Mesa can be an up and down team against a Sandia team that is a good, pretty much inside-outside team. I would say they're more outside than in, but they've got a good inside presence. Yes, they do. They really do. And Jose V. Hill, and I think Molina, the other kid, he's a junior now. They've got. I'm talking about West Mesa. Right. They've got some. I like. God, Jose V. Hill was the transfer from Volcano Vista a couple years ago. So I really like him, but I think Sandia is a little too much for the Mustangs in that matchup. Any other game that stands out to you here? Look at Albuquerque High and Cibola. Now, Cibola head coach Ray Rodriguez lost a lot from last year. I had a chance to watch them play Hobbs. But I want to know from Albuquerque High, Marlon Cunningham, Silas Cole, Randy Castillo, and they've got another player who I can't remember his name. They lost to Las Cruces. You were there at that game. You did that game in the Las Lunas tournament. They had a chance. They had chances. They had a. And that was a game they were down 12-0. First quarter, bad quarter. Yeah. Bad quarter. They fought their way back, almost took the lead by about 3 or 4. Right. Right. So I want to know how do they respond from that tonight. We mentioned how long Ron Garcia's been around, coached at St. Pius girls, Moriarty boys, West Mesa boys, Rio Grande. Now he's at Albuquerque High, I believe, on his 10th year. So Coach Garcia's been around. You talk about dean of coaches, Frank Castillo, and I believe it's him after that, or Ray Rodriguez. So he's been around a long time. Yeah, after they lost that game, they beat Alamogordo by 20, and they beat Gadsden by 23. Okay, you know what? So they responded. Good response. Yep. Good response. And I'll tell you what, it was a close game, and I know Coach Garcia was upset because you went against Las Cruces, Bulldogs against Bulldogs. You want to know how how do you fare? I think they'll have another chance down the line. Well, Ed, we're going to have a chance to go over a lot of games next week. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year, Scott. Always a pleasure. I'd like to thank Alden Iowani. He's still wearing his New Year's hat here at Proview Networks, Comcast 26. Until next week, he's Ed Nunez. I'm Scott Coletti. So long from the Sports Desk.